Funding for NotAVampyre is provided by viewers like you. Find perks and bonus content at patreon.com/NotAVampyre. Thank you. I see people all the time complain about how Emma was never Manny's friend. That she shamed her for how she dressed and called her a slut, how she was always the cause of their fights, and well, I can't say I agree. Emma is flawed, and I don't always like her or the decisions she makes. Sometimes I find her too self-focused to understand other people's perspective or to care about how they're feeling. As much of a cause girl she is, she does have a rather selfish side. But like Claire and Ashley before her, there are times her name gets dragged through the mud for the wrong reasons. Specifically, I think Emma is getting too much flack for the time she slut-shamed Manny. Yes, she did call Manny a slut, but all of the context around it is getting ignored. To understand the moment, we need to start from the beginning, i.e. when Manny changed her image. Emma's problem wasn't really how Manny was dressing or that she wanted to be hot. Actually, when asked if it was too much, Emma insisted that Manny looked great. She was iffy about Manny's not wearing underwear, and though it's clear it's not a choice Emma would personally make, she still wasn't focused on Manny's new looks as the problem. To Emma, the issue was how Manny was acting and how she was treating JT. At first, Manny was kinda receptive to JT's sudden interest in her, though she still thought of JT as just JT, a boy she's known since they were kids. Manny thought he had gotten cuter than last year and was possibly open to liking him. Until Sully, the guy she changed her image for, became interested. As soon as he started talking to her, she just kinda ditched JT. Not quite ignoring him, but suddenly responding coldly to his courting and letting Sully basically tell him to get lost. That wasn't okay to Emma. Sure, she was rooting for JT to date Manny, but Emma couldn't accept how Manny rejected him. She watched Manny smile at the thought of JT wanting to date her and then act like he was second choice to Sully, which to Manny, he was. Emma saw how little Manny cared for JT when Sully showed interest. And side note, Sully calling Manny Manuela because it sounds exotic? Big yikes. And Manny didn't take Emma's criticism well. She didn't want to change how she was dressing or acting because she felt like this was what she wanted. Guys to see her as sexy instead of cute. And the guys she wanted in particular seemed to like her now. She didn't want Emma to ruin it, so she lashed out, insisting Emma was only complaining because for once Emma wasn't the focus, that the real problem was that Emma just didn't like her new look. Manny didn't want Emma to spoil how well everything was going. She liked how her plan was turning out, and she wouldn't let Emma disparage it. But very importantly, Manny and Emma didn't stop being friends because of this. There was an obvious hostility between them, like when Emma looked upset at the Spirit Squad fundraiser, and Manny's response was to ask what did she do to offend Emma now? But she immediately comforted Emma when she revealed that Snake might be very sick. They were even friendly enough for Manny to give Emma a makeover and advice on how to woo Chris. But this advice was the tipping point. When it came out that Chris already had a girlfriend, Manny instructed Emma on how, as some would say, steal him away. Basically get him to forget about Miranda and instead get with Emma. This was a line Emma refused to cross. Right away she felt that the plan was wrong. Even though Manny convinced her to try, she still couldn't go through with it no matter how much she liked Chris. And as Emma was struggling with what she almost did, seeking her best friend to discuss what just happened, Manny was nowhere to be found. Then when she got home feeling bad about the hurt she almost caused Miranda, she found said missing best friend in Emma's bed making out with Craig, who also already had a girlfriend. Found out this wasn't the first time that Manny and Craig got together behind Ashley's back, and all Manny had to say was that she thought Emma wasn't coming home till later, as though that was the biggest offense in Emma's eyes. This was a breaking point for Emma, a culmination of Emma's complete disagreement with the person that Manny had become. In Emma's eyes, Manny was choosing to hurt Ashley and basically anyone she had to in order to get what she wanted. It conflicted too much with Emma's morals. But this wasn't what caused Emma to call her best friend a slut. No, her response to all this was to give Manny the cold shoulder, seemingly until Manny stopped making what Emma saw as horrible decisions. She still intended to be Manny's friend, but not without voicing her condemnation of what Manny was doing. Manny was the one who ended the friendship. Her reaction to Emma telling her to make the right choice was to decide that Emma wasn't her friend anymore. And we see how shocked Emma was by this declaration, as though she never once considered not being Manny's friend. So taken aback that she had to ask if this was what Manny meant. And to that, Manny said she didn't want to be friends with a stuck-up prude princess. This is what prompted Emma to declare that she didn't want to be friends with the school slut. This was said out of hurt and anger. Hurt that her own best friend was calling her names and choosing her new persona over their friendship. Anger that Manny hit so below the belt with her words. Pain that Manny, of all people, would want to harm her this way. She could be called many things by people at school, but what hurt was when they came from her best friend. After being struck so harshly, I can understand why Emma would want to respond in kind. Of course, not to say that she was right or justified, especially in the slut-shaming, but it's not like Emma was unprovoked. Now, per usual, none of this is to say that Emma was always a perfect friend to Manny. She has a history of being judgy and forceful with her opinions, being so certain that she was right that she wouldn't listen when Manny disagreed, like when Manny wanted to try cheerleading. But this is the moment I see Emma criticized for most often, and it's not exactly her most damning crime. On top of that, discussion around this tends to focus on the fact that Emma called Manny a slut, leaving out what preceded it, that Manny wasn't being a good friend to Emma here, and that Emma quickly accepted Manny as a friend later in the season. I really think in this case that it was Manny who drove Emma away and was the instigator. Maybe Emma wasn't that tactful, she has an issue with not coming off as though anyone who disagrees with her is the worst person ever, but I wouldn't count this as an example of Emma being a bad friend. Thank you for consuming this video. If you want to chat with me in my NotAVampyre crypt in a Discord server my friends and I made, follow this invite here. Check me out at NotAVampyre on Twitter for random thoughts and a lot of cat pictures. And if you want to support me in this channel, then patreon.com/NotAVampyre. Thank you very much for consuming this video, and until next time.